Welcome to this explainer. All right, let's just dive right in, shall we? Today, we are exploring a truly world-changing phenomenon in the tech space. We're unpacking the tiny, ubiquitous, and honestly wildly powerful platform known to the world as the Raspberry Pi. If you've ever been even a little bit curious about how something so small could completely disrupt classrooms, hobbyist basements, and even high-level enterprise IT setups all around the globe, well, you are definitely in the right place.
Now, I really want you to think about how often you've heard phrases exactly like these. If you spend any time at all in tech circles, reading tech blogs, or even just talking to that one friend of yours who's always tinkering with their home Wi-Fi network, you have undoubtedly heard someone casually drop, "Oh yeah, I built it on a Raspberry Pi," or "I'm actually running a web server on a Raspberry Pi." It has literally become the universal shorthand for DIY tech ingenuity.
But, that brings us to the ultimate question. What exactly is a Raspberry Pi? Because if you have never actually seen one in action, there's a serious visual dissonance here. At first glance, it doesn't really look like a computer at all. Honestly, it looks more like a loose circuit board you might find just rattling around in the bottom of a spare parts drawer. There's no sleek aluminum chassis, no glowing logo. It's just this raw green board with some ports soldered onto it. But hey, do not let that fool you for a second.
Section 1. More than a circuit board. Defining the tiny giant. What's truly fascinating here is just how clear-cut its definition is. A Raspberry Pi is a complete, fully functional computer built onto a single circuit board. Most of these models are so small they can easily fit right in the palm of your hand. But the really crucial point to remember is that if you connect a monitor, a keyboard, and a mouse to those exposed ports, this little green board behaves pretty much just like a traditional desktop computer. You can browse the web, run Linux, write code, host websites, the whole shebang. The physical size is tiny, but as you'll see, the possibilities absolutely are not.
Section 2. An accessible tech playground. The educational mission.
You see, the Raspberry Pi didn't start out as some flashy venture capital pitch to disrupt enterprise computing. It began strictly as an educational project. The creators had this beautifully simple foundational mission: make computing accessible to everyone, period. They wanted students to have access to a truly affordable computer that actively encouraged experimentation. They wanted to completely lower the barrier to entry so literally anyone could learn hands-on. And, well, that simple concept resonated way beyond the classroom walls.
In fact, it pushed the Pi out into the world like wildfire. Students adopted it, sure, but hobbyists completely embraced it. The flexibility of this platform is just immense. People are out there using Raspberry Pis to learn Linux and programming, to build some seriously complex robots and electronics projects. They're creating retro gaming systems, running entire home automation platforms, hosting web services, and even experimenting with AI and machine learning. It basically serves as this giant technology playground where you can test out brand new ideas without needing a massive financial investment.
Section 3. From hobby to heavy workloads. The production reality.
Okay, we need to clear up a really common misconception right off the bat here. The Raspberry Pi is not just a toy. Yes, it's got those deep educational roots, and absolutely it is phenomenal for learning. But engineers very quickly found highly practical, heavy-duty uses for it. Today, countless organizations rely on Raspberry Pis in actual, real-world production environments to get some very serious work done.
Because when you move into the production side of things, say you're building a headless server, an IoT device, or a lightweight project box, efficiency becomes literally everything. You don't want a bunch of bloatware eating up your resources, right? So it's fascinating to see how engineers optimize these boards. To do this, professionals often turn to minimal operating systems. Two major contenders really dominate here: Diet Pi and Raspberry Pi OS Lite. Both of these promise lean, mean computing machines that boot straight to the command line, offering slightly different approaches to that less is more philosophy. It just goes to show that users are making strict architectural software choices to squeeze every drop of power out of this hardware.
And hey, speaking of hardware, let's talk numbers for a second. Consider this one: 8 gigabytes. We're talking specifically about the upgraded specs of the Raspberry Pi 5 here. It features up to 8 gigs of LPDDR4X RAM, and it's powered by a quad-core Cortex-A76 processor clocked at 2.4 gigahertz. I mean, this is a massive leap in memory bandwidth and processing efficiency compared to older models. It's a surprisingly beefy specification for a board that's roughly the size of a credit card.
Now, because of those upgraded specs we were just talking about, the Pi 5 can actually step into the world of artificial intelligence. Specifically, it can run edge AI workloads. Now,
let's be real for a minute. It remains a low-power alternative. Raw specs are only part of the story, and complex deep learning models definitely require specialized hardware acceleration that the Pi doesn't naturally have built in. But its improvements make it an incredibly intriguing, capable little workhorse for running lighter machine learning projects directly at the edge of a network.
So if you're running these devices in production, or, even just tucked away in a closet somewhere as a home media server, remote management is absolutely critical. Historically, the go-to solution for accessing a Pi remotely was a service called RealVNC, but there is a new player that's integrated directly into the ecosystem now. Raspberry Pi Connect is a new VNC service built straight into Raspberry Pi OS 12. It's designed for pure simplicity, offering a seamless remote desktop experience, and the best part? It's completely free to use for anyone with a Raspberry Pi 4, 400, or the new Pi 5. It really just highlights how the surrounding software ecosystem is constantly maturing right alongside the hardware.
Section 4. The freedom to fail, the philosophy of exploration.
Look, we all know technology changes blazingly fast, and the Raspberry Pi has managed to endure through all these massive industry shifts over the last decade for one really simple reason. It provides a low-risk way to explore quickly changing technology. Whether you're a student trying to wrap your head around Python or a seasoned IT professional testing out a brand new home lab configuration, the initial investment is so low that the fear of making a mistake is basically completely removed.
It actually encourages this highly actionable, hands-on loop. You try something new, you break it, you fix it, you learn from it, and then you just wipe the SD card and you try something else. That incredible freedom, that cyclical process of unpunished experimentation is truly the beating heart of the platform's appeal. It makes learning an active, entirely fearless process.
So I think the really crucial takeaway here is that despite the 8 gigs of RAM, the Edge AI capabilities, and the serious production server deployments, we always have to remember its roots. Decades into this project, the Raspberry Pi's greatest strength is still, without a doubt, lowering the barrier to learning. It serves as that easy, incredibly accessible first step into Linux, programming, electronics, and system administration for literally millions of people.
And that leaves us with one final, kind of provocative thought to close out our explainer today. Because sometimes, a tiny computer is literally all it takes to start something massive. So, what big idea will you start with a tiny computer? Think about it. The barrier is gone. The playground is wide open. I highly, highly encourage you to get your hands on one of these and just start building. Thanks so much for joining me to unpack this amazing piece of technology today. And hey, keep exploring.